Well, the nature of the service is very different, and you have to think we're like we have a completely unique approach to selling Bitcoin. In Canada, we have one direct competitor, and we still have a lot of unique differentiating factors between us. But within the United States, we have no direct competitors. There's nobody that is a Bitcoin only platform that is non-custodial that has the services and the services and support that we have. So I think for that we're very uniquely positioned, and we completely eliminate an aspect of counterparty risk with someone holding Bitcoin.
Hi everyone. Today we have an esteemed guest. Konrad, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you very much. Hi everyone. My name is Konrad. I'm the community manager here at BitcoinWell. BitcoinWell is a bit of a unique company in Canada, and we've recently expanded to the United States as well. In Canada, we started off as an ATM business. So in 2013, we began deploying cash to Bitcoin ATMs throughout Canada. This was definitely a very new time in Bitcoin. The exchange space has become quite regulated since then. We've seen, kind of a turbulent time in exchanges. A lot of exchanges would come and go, and the balances on these exchanges the customer had would end up being lost over time. When BitcoinWell launched its online platform in 2022, the company was very diligent on following its ATM models, because in the world where an ATM was unplugged, it spontaneously combusted, no one's Bitcoin was stored in an ATM or in any kind of central company server. So we wanted to have that same approach with the online business, and the online business is a direct to Bitcoin wallet kind of model. So the way it works in Canada is you send us an instant payment, and we send you Bitcoin the moment that payment arrives directly to the wallet that you provide. So we're inherently non-custodial, and we think that's a really valuable way to protect users' Bitcoin. As I mentioned before, exchanges have collapsed, losing customer funds along the way, and losing a few $100s in Bitcoin might not mean much at the time, but we all know how Bitcoin continues to grow. So that becomes, you don't want to lose your sats, essentially. We've recently expanded out into the United States as well, which we're really excited about. And ideally, we want to continue to expand to the rest of the global market.
Perfect. But do you still keep the ATM business?
We still preserve our ATM business. We kind of have the two businesses. We have the ATM business and the online business, which allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin and also use Bitcoin to pay your bills, like your household bills, your credit card. And we also support Lightning Network, so you can buy and sell and use Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. And we just launched, actually, as of today, the ability to convert Bitcoin from your Bitcoin wallets to Bitcoin on the Lightning Network to your Lightning wallet, and vice versa. So we're basically allowing you to use Bitcoin and the Lightning Network in essentially every way possible at the moment.
Do you have like your own in your platform? Is it also like a non-custodial wallet in itself? Or do you have to use like some third parties for the wallet?
That's a great question. We thought long and hard about that, and the direction we ended up going with was not creating our own proprietary wallet. And the reason for this was because it's impossible for us to create a wallet that's going to be able to satisfy all of our customers. Our customers have unique needs, unique desires. Some people might want to store Bitcoin in multi-sig. Some people might just want to use Bitcoin on the Lightning Network for some fast payments, or to maybe buy coffee for a friend in South America. All these different use cases would make it really difficult for us to kind of pinpoint down a single wallet. So we place that choice in the user's hands. We say you're free to use whichever wallet that you prefer for your needs, or a combination of wallets. You have the option to use multiple wallets on our platform, and then you can freely swap between your wallets for whatever different need you're doing at that time.
And do people like need to, because I checked the website, like you need to sign up. Do you need to have like an account, or is like a direct model, maybe like the swaps, or how does it work?
That's a good question. So our ATMs allow for that direct model. Essentially, you put in cash and you provide a Bitcoin wallet, and that's all you really need to fulfill that transaction. Granted, if the jurisdiction requires a certain type of threshold, then volume threshold, then if you're a user at an ATM and you submit a certain amount of dollars, you will be asked to submit your KYC or ID verification in order to continue. The online business is, we have a fully verified version, which allows people to submit their IDs and access our full platform features, which allow you to buy Bitcoin instantly with higher limits using our e-transfer system. I'm not sure if your guests are familiar with e-transfer, but e-transfer kind of works in a way similar to Venmo, but it's a private type business, and you're able to send. I basically would send you an email. You would receive an email of X amount of $100, you'd click on that, and then you could accept that into any one of your depository banks that you bank with in Canada. It's pretty easy here. We only have about 5 or 6 big banks, so there's not too much complication there. And that is one of the main features that people desire when they get our fully verified online account. We have this interesting hybrid version that utilizes both of our physical ATM locations as well as our online platform. And how that works is you create a light account by signing up by only providing for your online account an email address and a Bitcoin wallet. You bring within your light account, you have like a unique QR code that identifies your account. You present this at one of our cash voucher ATMs, and you are able to insert cash to buy a cash voucher. Your cash voucher you can use to redeem on the online portal at any time to instantly buy Bitcoin. So that kind of allows people with just an email address and a Bitcoin wallet to start buying Bitcoin instantly through their online platform as well.
So do you guys also provide a service like similar, like I see you have like bill payments. Do you also provide like, for example, receiving the salary in Bitcoin, like converting it instantly into Bitcoin, something like that?
This is something that we have had done in kind of like a limited capacity in Canada. We're still looking to reintroduce it just because of our model being inherently non-custodial. It does present a little bit of a different situation because say you onboard an entire company onto the model, we would be insistent that each customer or each recipient would have their own Bitcoin wallet they're familiar with using so that their Bitcoin is the safest there because there's a lot of opportunity, as mentioned before, for custodial Bitcoin. It's just one large honeypot. It allows for a malicious actor or just a simple mistake to allow for all that money to be lost. And we've seen that happen just countless times. So for the kind of paycheck model, we're working on kind of adding a new solution for that. Just the complication arises that you would have the entire paycheck potentially deposited, and then a certain amount of that paycheck is converted into Bitcoin or crypto, which is what we've seen some of our competitors do. But then the remaining amount is held in some sort of fiat custodial equivalent. And that is just such a custodial model with a lot of just risk on that exchange, saying what they're going to do, what they're going to do, and doing it effectively. And there's kind of no surprises that come up. And, as anyone who's been in crypto for a while, the industry is very turbulent. And a lot of things tend to happen. So we believe it's best to take those precautions for yourself.
Perfect. So how about for the liquidity? Like, how do you provide liquidity? Is it like, do you have partnerships with exchanges or do you have like your own maybe reserves or how does it work?
So yeah, we have partnerships with exchanges that allows us to be able to provide rates with essentially with no slippage. So we're able to still fulfill very large orders. We do have a OTC or like a high net worth individual type service where if you have transactions of 6, 7, 8 figures, we're able to facilitate that for you. We've just recently been expanding this out to the United States. So very likely by the time this airs, we'll be able to serve large scale customers in the United States as well, which we're really excited about. And the way that works is you don't have any form of slippage, which you might have if you work with some sort of liquidity providers that manage all of their own liquidity. This way allows us to have a competitive rates that our customers are satisfied with.
So when you say slippage, it doesn't include like the like your fees, like 1.5% or something like that.
The fees are included into the transaction, but that amount remains fixed. It doesn't work in the sense of if it's like a potentially low liquid time period, you wouldn't expect to sell Bitcoin and have the price fall as you're selling it. If that were to occur, that would be purely due to the market rather than a lack of order book liquidity.
I see. But I mean, compared to exchanges, isn't this like a slightly high or because of the services, like the nature of the services is very different?
Well, the nature of the service is very different, and you have to think we're like we have a completely unique approach to selling selling Bitcoin. In Canada, we have one direct competitor, and we still have a lot of unique differentiating factors between us. But within the United States, we have no direct competitors. There's nobody that is a Bitcoin only platform that is non-custodial that has the services and the services and support that we have. So I think for that we're very uniquely positioned, and we completely eliminate an aspect of counterparty risk with someone holding Bitcoin.
So I understand the part about like purchasing Bitcoin, but how about selling? Like how does it work the other way around? Like if you want to off-ramp like from Bitcoin to fiat, do you have like relations with banks or you just make like a local transfer or how does it work?
So we have multiple ways that this can happen. You can send us Bitcoin and receive a wire transfer or just an online bank transfer or an e-transfer, the online kind of instant selling method that I mentioned here. the Interac e-transfer payment rail in Canada does have some kind of fixed limits within that. For most customers, it's usually about $10,000 a week. We find for a majority of our client base, this is satisfactory, as like the majority of people are not going to be transacting in very large figures. But the folks that are looking to sell higher amounts of Bitcoin, we're still able to facilitate this by a combination of either wire transfers or online like bill payment type methods.
I see. See. Sounds very nice. But going back to the security point, which you pointed to before, like obviously for you is like much less risk compared to exchanges or some other custodial services. But how do you still manage to secure the platform? Is there any like specific approaches, like in general?
I mean, we do secure the platform. Like obviously, every platform is going to have its firewalls and encryption. But what really differentiates us is that we're not having to custody customer funds. We don't have to worry about a wallet that could potentially be hacked. Honeypot, so to say, would be so minimal it wouldn't even be worth a, it's we have if you think about walking into a restaurant and trying to like empty out the cash register, like our cash register, so to say, has such a small amount in it compared to maybe most people or a bank, for example. So just because we instantly source the Bitcoin and provide at the same time, like we don't even custody the Bitcoin in that sense. So it's very rare where there's a situation where the firm itself just has any direct custody over a large sum like of Bitcoin, or even in that sense, dollars as well.
How about, for example, for the customer data, like related to, let's say you coupling because you have the data, like let's say the email or name or whatever KYC info, but also you have the addresses, like attaching these two together. Maybe it can be beneficial for some hackers, or at least like some other methods of phishing or some other things.
This episode is sponsored by DegreeSign.
CoinExams platform was purpose-built by DegreeSign to be one of the best-performing platforms in the crypto space.
DegreeSign is an agency developing web products with a long experience of building products from scratch for maximum performance and stability.
Start today. Just email make@degreesign.com.
So do you still keep the address or is it like temporarily only during the transfer?
No, we preserve, like customer information, like kind of standard for, any company of our stature with the ability for, a customer to be suspect to a phishing attack. That's more of kind of like just an external kind of risk to them. That's an additional external risk that customer ought to be worried about and just take measures. I think anyone that's had an email inbox for the last couple of years will realize that there's a lot of fraudulent inboxes that come out there, and one must take reflexive action and prepare themselves with a variety of security measures, whether it's a physical authenticator or just educating oneself on social engineering tactics. I think social engineering is probably the most prevalent threat in terms of phishing attacks. Like whether it's it's basically just like fictional stories that sound so good that you have to quickly capitalize on it. Allows people to it forces people to kind of rush in this panic state and follow through, and then next thing you know, so much has happened so quickly. So I think that the best way to mitigate something like that is for personal education. Just with regards to any sort of money transferring service.
Perfect. If we can zoom out back to the company origins, like what was the vision for the company when it started out with the ATMs?
So the vision with the company then was to be able to provide people that have Bitcoin easily. If you were thinking, like, I joined Bitcoin in 2017, and the state of Bitcoin in 2017 going into 2018, the Lightning paper was released in 2018. We had moved towards SegWit, and we had started to realize so much block usage that we had to move towards block efficiency strategies. And in 2013, this was just not the case. Bitcoin was underutilized. Bitcoin was underserved. There weren't many different apps that you could use. So it was complicated to use Bitcoin. And if we think about, Mt. Gox had, been blowing up at, I believe at or before this or around this time. So the threat of custodial Bitcoin had already been present. And at the same time, custodial Bitcoin solved a very important problem, which was how to access Bitcoin. It was very difficult to buy Bitcoin and access it much at that time. An ATM was actually one of the better and easier ways to go about doing something like that at the time. So that was really where that started off. And then as the cryptocurrency market completely evolved, there was this increased usage of, you can download a wallet on your phone on any kind of phone you have, and you have dozens dozens of options now, and they all have different levels of security and features. So kind of realizing the model was moving that way, we wanted to focus on the ability to easily access Bitcoin and use Bitcoin and combine that with the evolving Bitcoin ecosystem. I believe our CEO wrote an article recently talking about how he envisions basically the Bitcoin super company, and that being a company that helps drive all the needs and usage of Bitcoin into the modern day. I mentioned earlier how e-transfer is a really convenient way to send to send dollars to somebody within Canada. We want to mirror the convenience of modern day banking, but with the safety and self-custody of Bitcoin. Satoshi invented Bitcoin so that you could be your own bank. And now we can be our own banks, but we're not as efficient as at moving funds around as banks. And we're moving towards that direction. And BitcoinWell wants to help be a part of spearheading that direction. Kind of goes back to what I mentioned before, where kind of said almost every way you can use Bitcoin today, we offer a service for that. Or even our reward system, which most people, you get points and it kind of just remains on your account. Our points are instantly redeemable for Lightning rewards, which you can redeem right to your Lightning wallet. If you're familiar with Fold, they would have Lightning wallets, but there was a minimum threshold for how much you could be given. For us, we'll give you the minimum amount of 500 SAS directly to your wallet every single time. So we're just non-custodial and Bitcoin only kind of all in all of our ways, and we're moving towards that hyper efficiency of the modern day banking system.
Perfect. How about for the bill payments? Like, can you elaborate a bit on that? Like, what do you do for customers in terms of bill payments using Bitcoin?
Sure. So let's say you have like some bills that you'd like to pay. You have a credit card bill you'd like to pay. You maybe buy a new pair of skis and you want to pay them off. That ski shop might not accept Bitcoin as of today. Some stores do accept Bitcoin, and we see the number of merchants accepting Bitcoin continuously rising. However, it still isn't everybody. So a modern day backstop for that would be to use a credit card and then pay that credit card off with Bitcoin. The way that would work is you would add your credit card or any bill to our platform. You'd create an order request, which would outline the amount of dollars that you'd like to spend on that bill. It'll create an invoice for you, and then you pay that invoice. Once we receive the Bitcoin, we're able to initiate that payment. Typical financial world, you have to wait several days for the payment to go through. So if you send us a Lightning payment, we can instantly receive that and begin processing that, but then we have to wait several days for the modern day banking system to finalize that payment and see it be realized on your credit card statement, or financing furniture statement, or electricity bill, hydro bill, whatever kind of bill you may have. And then the bill payment feature, the way that you pay bills in tradition within your banking app, we also allow people to buy Bitcoin through that manner. So the way that you would be, within your bank account, sending a payment from your checking account to your credit card, you'd be able to send a payment to us, and we would show up as a bill in your bank account. So it kind of just allows more ways to buy Bitcoin. And the bill payment method allows you to kind of set an auto frequency. So the same way that you can automatically pay $500 your credit card every month, you can automatically buy Bitcoin $500 every month by treating us as an automatically recurring bill payment.
See,
so it kind of works both ways.
You said that you already entered the US market. How long have you been in the US?
We've been in the US for just a few months, kind of starting off a little bit slow. So I mentioned in Canada how we have this wide range of features, and we don't have all those features just yet in the United States, but they're going to be coming out very, very soon. Currently, what we support in the United States is the ability to instantly buy and sell Bitcoin. Now, what we managed to do with the United States is really interesting, because the United States financial system presents a little bit of different challenges that are unique to Canada. I've spoken a lot about this instant e-transfer. It's basically like sending an email and the fiat money is transferred across. Something like that doesn't exist for us in the United States. We can do Venmo. Venmo is what maybe, Bob and Alice might use to transfer money across one another, but Bob and Alice's banks aren't going to use Venmo to transfer their mony around. They would rely on the ACH payment network, which is what we use, but that has a funding delay time. So what we're able to do to allow people to instantly buy Bitcoin is you initiate an order request, you lock in your Bitcoin rate, the money arrives, or it might be en route in a few days, but that rate of Bitcoin has been locked in. So even if you do this on a weekend and the price is down and it shoots back up during the beginning of the week, when your Bitcoin arrives, you'll get that initial rate. So it allows people to, in effect, instantly buy Bitcoin, and we lock in that rate. Once the funds clear, we make the conversion from dollars into Bitcoin, and we instantly send it out. The way it works for selling Bitcoin is the exact same way. And it's really convenient too, because you're able to, the way that you sell Bitcoin is you have a unique payment address on your account. You send Bitcoin to this payment address, and when you receive it, we automatically convert it to dollars at the rate at the time that we receive it and instantly send that to your bank account. So this allows you to, in effect, just have a Bitcoin address saved on your phone, taped to your wall, wherever you choose it to be. And anytime you want big dollars to arrive in your account, you can just send Bitcoin to this address without having to open up our platform or create any sort of orders. All of the conversions of dollars into Bitcoin and Bitcoin into dollars are done automatically.
Oh, this is fascinating. But the only thing actually is surprising for me is, but I'm already aware of this, like about like the payment delays, like it sometimes takes a couple of days to settle because in Asia here everything is like almost instant between banks. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's very interesting. But also like it's good that you already figured out a solution, like especially about locking in the rate because then you remove the risk for the user and like basically you bear the risk and like the user doesn't have to worry about this. They already locked in the rate. So it's almost as good as they already bought this Bitcoin at that moment. So it's a very
Mhm.
good workaround this whole system. Very interesting. So right now, are you just in just two countries or do you plan to expand globally?
We're currently working on expanding globally. So the way that we work is a little bit different because if you think of the average cryptocurrency exchange, they're not just like an exchange. They do more than facilitate exchange. They also custody, which makes them technically banks, right? And when you're a bank, you have a completely different set of laws and regulations that you have to adhere to and a completely different risk framework. Because we aren't custodying funds, we don't have to apply to be a bank in every jurisdiction we wish to operate in. So that allows us to have a different degree of flexibility and maneuverability with our ability to enter new markets. I mentioned that we recently are expanding our, I'll call it OTCs. I believe most of your viewers might be familiar with what that will be. Our OTC service has been expanded to the United States, but it's also being expanded into Europe and Asia as well. So we'll be able to have global customers and be able to facilitate transactions for a global customer base. And once again, it's always going to be bank relationship directly to customer wallet. We're not a middleman custodial. We're just like almost kind of like a broker or like a matcher between, fiat and Bitcoin.
So it's almost like an e-commerce platform, but instead of buying goods, you just buy sets.
Exactly. And because it's Bitcoin, it's inherently global. So the shipping aspect is instant and we don't have to even ship anything. The Bitcoin network takes care of that. And actually, with regards to the shipping of Bitcoin, so we automatically cover the Bitcoin transaction fee as part of our service. So the way it works is your transaction fees are default free. You buy Bitcoin, you kind of have your cost of doing business fee, which is still very competitive in all of our jurisdictions. And then you get your Bitcoin for free. And this will be part of our batching system, which will be, include several transactions from that time period, and it'll be put out at kind of a rate. But you can always ask to have your transaction speed made faster and more expensive if you really want your Bitcoin quickly.
That's actually a very fascinating detail about the patches, but also about like having the priority fees like for faster transactions. It's very interesting and like thoughtful as well from your company. So right now for this company, like do you plan like to have add any new services or any new features, or you just want to focus in this core services, that one you mentioned?
So we've been rolling out a lot of the new features for the Canadian market, specifically being our support of the Lightning Network. The next steps will be to add these features into our American market, and ideally, continue to add more features. We're also very responsive to what the cryptocurrency or the Bitcoin market desires and what the needs and demand are. If we're, for example, over the next year, we saw a tremendous inflow of usage on the Liquid network. You would definitely move towards adopting that very quickly. If an additional, layer network came up that I'm not familiar with, or just suddenly was released and very quickly adopted and embraced and had a lot of usage, then we would also work to embracing that and bring that on as well.
Yeah, thanks for all the information. And where can the people actually find more info, or like what is the best way for them to access the service? Is it the website, Bitcoin?
Yeah, so you can go to bitcoinwell.com. That's Bitcoin, Bitcoin, and then well.com. You'll be able to find all the information on our website there. You'll be able to sign up whether you're in Canada or the United States. And we're also on social media as well. So, we're on Twitter, we're on Noster. Twitter would be a great place to get a hold of us if you want to, get a question and you want to shoot us some emails, or maybe you don't like email. You can always follow us on Twitter at the BitcoinWell. Shoot us a DM. I'll probably answer you. And yeah, I'd say that those are probably the best ways to reach out. We have a help center, online help center as well. So we help people buy and sell and use Bitcoin through our platform. And any questions can be asked and answered by our customer support team.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. Take care. Thanks for having me.